The night the truth shattered her heart, Serafina Vale stood in the doorway of a silent mansion, one hand resting protectively over her growing belly, while the other trembled around the photograph she had just found. She had spent months believing she was carrying the only piece of love left between her and the most feared man in the city. But now she was staring at proof that the Mafia boss she loved was giving his tenderness to another pregnant woman. And the most painful part was not the betrayal she imagined. It was the question that haunted her mind: had she ever truly known the man she married? Before we begin this emotional journey, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of a changed heart, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel, Heart Kindness Tales. Serafina never dreamed her life would become connected to a man whose name made powerful people lower their voices. She had grown up believing that every person had a good side, no matter how hidden it was. That belief was what brought her into the world of Cashin Vayer, the mysterious and feared leader of one of the most powerful criminal organizations in the city. People called Cashin cold, merciless, and impossible to reach. They said he could destroy a person's life with a single decision and that he trusted nobody. But Serafina saw something different in him. She saw the exhausted man behind the reputation. She saw the loneliness in his eyes when everyone else only saw danger. They met on a rainy evening when Serafina was working late at a small community clinic. Cashin arrived with an injured stranger, and while everyone else stepped away from him, she stayed calm and helped. She did not care about his expensive clothes, his intimidating presence, or the rumors surrounding him. She only cared that someone was hurt. That simple act confused Cashin more than anything else. He was used to fear, but he was not used to kindness without a hidden reason. Over time, their unexpected meetings became something deeper. Serafina discovered that beneath his harsh exterior was a man who carried pain from a childhood filled with betrayal and loss. Cashin discovered that Serafina had a strength that did not come from power or money. It came from compassion. Their love story was not easy. Cashin's world was dangerous, and Serafina often worried about the darkness surrounding him. But when he looked at her, he seemed like someone who wanted to escape that darkness. Months later, Serafina learned she was pregnant. When she told Cashin, she expected fear or uncertainty. Instead, the man everyone called heartless stood frozen, then slowly placed his hand over hers. For the first time, Serafina saw tears in his eyes. He promised her that their child would never experience the pain he had suffered. He promised he would protect their family, no matter what it cost him. For a while, Serafina believed she had changed him. But as the months passed, Cashin became distant. Late-night meetings turned into disappearing acts. Phone calls ended quickly. His eyes seemed to carry a secret he refused to share. Serafina tried to convince herself that his dangerous life was the reason. She told herself that powerful men had responsibilities. She told herself that love required patience. But deep inside, she felt something was wrong. One afternoon, while searching for a medical report Cashin had left in his study, Serafina noticed an envelope hidden inside a drawer. It was not locked, not protected, almost as if someone wanted it to be found. Inside was a photograph. Cashin was standing in a quiet garden, holding a woman's hand. The woman had a visible pregnancy, and Cashin was looking at her with the same gentle expression Serafina once thought belonged only to her. Her heart stopped. The woman's name was written on the back. Valentina Rourke. Serafina knew that name. Valentina was connected to an old family alliance in Cashin's world. She was someone people whispered about, someone from his past. The worst thoughts entered Serafina's mind. Maybe Cashin never changed. Maybe she had only been another person he used to hide his true nature. That evening, Serafina followed him. She wanted answers. She wanted to hear the truth from his own mouth. She arrived at an old estate outside the city and saw Cashin walking beside Valentina. He was carrying bags for her, helping her sit down, making sure she was comfortable. The sight broke something inside Serafina. The man who rarely showed emotion was now carefully caring for another pregnant woman. Tears filled her eyes as she whispered to herself, "Was I ever special to him?" She turned to leave before they could see her. But Cashin noticed. "Serafina." His voice made her stop. She turned slowly, and all the pain she had held inside finally appeared on her face. Cashin looked at her, confused and afraid. "What are you doing here?" he asked softly. Serafina laughed bitterly. "I came to find the truth." "And I did." Cashin looked toward Valentina, then back at her. Before he could explain, Serafina's voice shook. "You promised me I was your future. You promised our child would be everything to you. But I found you here, taking care of another pregnant woman." Cashin's expression changed. Not anger. Not guilt. Something closer to heartbreak. "Serafina, you don't understand." "I understand enough," she replied. "I saw you." The silence that followed felt heavier than any argument. Then Valentina stepped forward. "Please," she said quietly. "Let me explain." Serafina looked at her, confused. Valentina lowered her eyes. "Cashin is not caring for me because of love." Those words shocked her. Valentina continued. "I am carrying my late husband's child. Years ago, Cashin's decisions led to a tragedy involving my family. He has carried that guilt ever since." Serafina looked at Cashin. He said nothing. Because it was true. Cashin finally spoke. His voice was quieter than she had ever heard. "When I was younger, I thought power meant never showing weakness. I made choices that hurt people. Valentina lost someone she loved because of the world I was part of." He looked at Serafina. "When I found out she was alone and pregnant, I promised I would protect her child. Not because I loved her, but because I owed her a debt I could never repay." Serafina stood there, struggling to process everything. Her anger slowly mixed with sadness. She realized she had only seen a piece of the story. But one question remained. "Why did you hide it from me?" Cashin looked away. "Because I was afraid." The answer surprised her. "You? Afraid?" He nodded. "I have faced enemies, betrayal, and death. But I was afraid you would see the worst parts of me. I thought if you knew everything I had done, you would leave." Serafina felt tears falling again. Not because she was broken, but because she finally saw the truth. Cashin was not a perfect man. He had a dark past. He had made terrible mistakes. But he was trying to become someone better. Still, trust could not be repaired in one moment. Serafina returned home that night with a heavy heart. Days passed. Cashin did not pressure her. He did not demand forgiveness. For the first time, the powerful Mafia boss who controlled everything accepted that he could not control her feelings. Instead, he showed his change through actions. He attended every doctor appointment. He prepared the baby's room. He spent nights reading parenting books, completely unaware that his serious expression while reading about baby care made Serafina smile. Slowly, she saw the man she first believed he could become. Not a perfect man. A man who was learning. One evening, months later, Serafina found Cashin sitting alone in the nursery. The room was filled with small toys and blankets. Cashin was holding a tiny pair of baby shoes. "I used to think I was too damaged to be a father," he admitted. Serafina stood at the door. "And now?" He looked at her. "Now I think this child gave me a reason to become someone worthy of being called one." Those words touched her deeply. The day their daughter was born, Cashin cried openly. The same man who had terrified entire rooms stood beside Serafina, holding their baby with shaking hands. "She's so small," he whispered. Serafina smiled through tears. And somehow she already changed you. Cashin looked at her. No, he said. You changed me first. Years later, people still talked about Cashin Vayer, but the stories were different. They no longer spoke only about the feared man. They spoke about the father who never missed a school event. The husband who learned patience. The man who turned away from his old life to build something better. Serafina learned that love was not about finding someone without flaws. It was about seeing someone's flaws clearly and discovering whether they had the courage to change. The biggest lesson of her life was that appearances could deceive, pain could hide behind silence, and sometimes the person who seemed impossible to save was simply waiting for someone to believe there was still goodness inside them. Before we end this story, if it touched your heart, please take a moment to like the video, share it with others, and subscribe to Heart Kindness Tales for more emotional stories about love, forgiveness, and second chances. And before you go, comment, "A second chance can change everything," if you believe people can become better when they choose kindness. Because sometimes the greatest love stories are not about perfect people. They are about two hearts that survive the truth and still choose each other.